taking action for you.
What's happening in entertainment? From Tinseltown to the Big Apple, this is your weekly entertainment magazine with Greg Dunmore of PulseBeat.tv.
Pulse of a new generation. PulseBeat.tv.
Detroit, we had a chance to be wowed by the opening of the Dr. Ossian Sweet Memorial Park, and we're going to just give you some highlights of why this is a piece of Detroit history that cannot be devalued.
3, 1, 2, 3, cut.
Well, it's been 100 years, and the story of Dr. Ossian Sweet and the family still resonates in these neighborhoods. And so today, of course, the Baxter family has restored the Sweet house. Now we have a garden that commemorates the history, and we're renovating all the houses at the end of the block to exactly the way it looked in 1925. I think this is going to be a major destination on historic tours, and we're really proud of the way it turned out. This has been a love of mine since I was in law school and first read about the case, and Clarence Darrow coming in for the NAACP. And when I was a Wayne County prosecutor, 50 years after the trial, people were still embarrassed at the prosecutor's office. I had put the Sweet family on trial, and so I had a role in getting the historic marker, and now we have the appropriate commemoration for what the Sweet family went through and how much they meant to the city.
Detroit, early 1900s. The city was growing rapidly. Immigrants flocked there to fill new jobs. They came from Europe and from across the United States. Thousands came from the South, white and black. Resentment grew against the large influx of migrants, with the white population changing its previous attitude toward black housing options.
Suddenly, what whites started to do was insist on a level of residential segregation they'd never insisted on before. They began to say African Americans can live in Black Bottom, that can be their neighborhood, but they can't live anywhere else.
Indicative of the changing mood, the membership of the Ku Klux Klan surged across the United States, including Michigan and Detroit. With a successful practice serving the black community, Dr. Ossian Sweet and his wife Gladys decided to move out of Black Bottom and purchase a decent home for their growing family, choosing a house in an all-white neighborhood. Being aware of the volatile atmosphere, Dr. Sweet asked his brother and several friends to help him protect his property, with guns if necessary. On the second night after moving in, a large crowd numbering in the hundreds formed on the street just outside the house. A dozen police were in place for protection, but did little.
It was terrifying because they knew how dangerous a situation it was. It was terrifying because they knew what happened to black people in a situation like this. They knew where this could end up.
Suddenly, rocks started raining down on the house. Windows shattered. Then, shots from the house. Across the street, neighborhood resident Leon Briner lay dead. Police rushed in and arrested everyone in the house. The prosecutor charged all of them with first-degree murder.
Now this is a hopeless case. And the chances that they are going to have any chance in this courtroom are infinitesimal.
The NAACP quickly became involved in the case, hiring the nation's foremost defense lawyer, Clarence Darrow. Darrow very carefully selected a jury of white men and remarkably achieved first a hung jury, then acquittal. A victory in the case momentarily provided comfort to the Sweets, but Detroit's difficulties with housing segregation would only become more problematic in the decades ahead.
He was born in Florida and grew up in Bartow, Florida, of course that's the segregated South where he grows up. In fact, he witnesses a lynching when he's a very young child. He will go away to college, to Wilberforce in Ohio. So he gets his undergrad at Wilberforce, and then he goes to Howard University Medical School. So that's where he became a doctor, Howard University Medical School. Then he went over to Austria, went over to Europe to get further training in medicine, and then came back here and lived here in the city of Detroit. Well, he had been coming to Detroit for a while because when he was at Wilberforce, in the summers he had a job. You know, he was paying his own way to college. So he worked, and he come here to the city of Detroit, and he worked on Boblo. He was a cook at Boblo, and so he came to the city of Detroit in the summers and worked on the Boblo boat and on Boblo Island. So he had been coming as a college student back in his undergrad, so he knew Detroit pretty good. A lot of people were coming to the city of Detroit during this time period that he comes. They're coming mainly because of the auto industry jobs. Now, of course, he's a doctor. And so medical doctors and lawyers and other professional African Americans are coming here because they're going to really service these working class African Americans who are working in the auto plants. These working class folks need doctors. And many of the hospitals, of course, are segregated, so they don't allow African Americans to be patients. And so black doctors have to found hospitals, their own black hospitals here in the city of Detroit. He worked at one of those hospitals, Dunbar Memorial Hospital. Dr. Ossian Sweet worked at the first nonprofit black hospital in the city of Detroit. And so that's why he's here. He's here as a doctor at the same time period as the Great Migration of African Americans working in the auto industry. It's here while he's working here as a doctor that he meets Gladys Mitchell Atkinson. And so, of course, she lives not far from here, which is one of the reasons why he chose this area, this house, is because she lived on Kearney Street, which is a mostly white community, but there were a couple of African Americans living in that neighborhood. She's living there with her father, her stepfather, and her mother. And so when they get married, he leaves his living above his practice in Black Bottom and ends up moving in the basement, living in the home of his mother-in-law. Now, you know, a doctor, a successful doctor, doesn't want to live in his mother-in-law's basement. So he's looking for a home, but he's looking for one not far from grandma because they have a little baby now, and they want to be able to get quickly over to grandma's house to drop the baby off when they have things to do, and for her to take care of the child. So what neighborhood has some pretty large, stable homes not far from where his mother-in-law and father-in-law live? Well, this neighborhood. So he's looking for houses in this neighborhood. And this house happens to have, even though everybody thinks everybody on this block is white, there is an African-American man who is married to a white woman who owns this house, but he's passing for white. And so he owns this house. This is really an interracial couple, but the people don't know that they're an interracial couple. They think these are two white owners of this home. And they sell him this home at an up price. They charge an extra $6,000 for the home. That's the equivalent today of $90,000 more for the home. So he overpaid for the home. That's how he gets this house. So he's already made the negotiations to buy the home back in June of that year, but he doesn't move in. There's a lot of incidents that have happened over the summer of African Americans moving in predominantly white neighborhoods where mobs have shown up at these homes owned by African Americans and forced these black people out. These white mobs forced them to leave, including Dr. Alexander Turner, who works with him at Dunbar Hospital. Dr. Turner has moved into a neighborhood on the west side, and a mob showed up at his house and broke their way into the house and forced him at gunpoint to get out of the house. And so Dr. Sweet is well aware of what's happened during that summer. So when he's prepared to move in, he's given, the owners needed more time to move out. And so over that summer, while they haven't yet moved out, the former owners haven't moved out, he's seen all these events happen. So when he moves in on September 8th, he's clear what might happen here, and he's trying to prepare for it here on that fateful night. But his brother is here, two of his brothers are here, his chauffeur is here, his handyman is here, some of his friends are here. And so he doesn't want anything to happen to anyone. He doesn't want anybody to get shot, killed, attacked, beaten up. But the other thing he doesn't want is he don't want to lose this house. He wants to defend this home. He doesn't want to be forced out of it, which has happened a number of times. They've moved in, a mob begins growing out in front of the home, on the corner, on that block, all the way to the next block behind the home. There are people arriving in cabs, people being dropped off to be a part of this mob. There's been a number of meetings of the White Neighborhood Homeowners Association. They've already planned to do something about this black family moving here. They begin gathering at the school playground across the street, the old school. That's a newer built school there now, but the former school that was there, they started gathering there as the crowd gets bigger and bigger as it gets darker. He is, I mean, the people are in there are trying to keep their cool, but they know that this could go any kind of way if they are not prepared. And as windows begin being busted out,
Then,
2 shots come from one of the upstairs windows out into the crowd. 2 people will fall, one of whom will never get up again. The police who are out here in the mob will go into the home and arrest everybody in the home. They'll be charged by Wayne County Prosecutor Robert Toms with first-degree murder. Everybody in the house is charged with first-degree murder. So all 11 people were charged with first-degree murder, which means premeditated murder, which means what they're being charged with is moving into the home to kill people. All right, and so that first trial, of course, will be they'll have the NAACP will begin raising money and raising a team for them. They'll have an all-black legal team for the first trial. All 11 of them are tried. That trial ends in a hung jury, and then there'll be a subsequent trial of just Henry Sweet, which of course is Dr. Sweet's youngest brother. So they're separating him. They're gonna charge him by himself, and then no doubt they plan to go down the line and get everybody.
This is a piece of Detroit history that cannot be devalued. Stay tuned, you're watching PulseBeat.tv.
With Greg Dunmore.
All aboard!
There's a new way to travel, and it's one of the oldest forms of transportation, travel by train. Yes, consider traveling around the United States on Amtrak. Traveling by train is a lot less of a headache than taking a plane, and you'd be surprised how many places you can go on an Amtrak. And there's no passports or IDs needed. Find out how to get where you're going as soon as tomorrow by train. Call the Amtrak Travel Hotline right now. We'll book your trip and email your tickets within minutes. Skip the drive to the airport and skip the lines. Call right now to book your Amtrak reservations. We service most of the United States. Do something new. Travel by Amtrak today. Find out how to get where you're going as soon as tomorrow by train. Call the Amtrak Travel Hotline right now.
Call 855-827-5004. That's 855-827-5004.
Travel is getting back to normal. Now is the perfect time to fly somewhere. You can save up to 75% on more than 500 airlines and 300,000 hotels. Use our free service to find the lowest prices we have. You know you're itching to go somewhere, so make this free call right now. We have all the best airline, hotel, and rental car prices all in one place. The best way to get these rock bottom prices is to call.
PulseBeat.
If you like what we're doing, please tell a friend, or if you want to see what we've done again, go to PulseBeatGlobal.com. That's PulseBeatGlobal.com. You can also go to our PulseBeat TV YouTube channel and you can revisit what we're doing. And once again, you can tell everybody that we're doing something that is so exciting that they wouldn't want to miss it. Remember PulseBeatGlobal.com or the YouTube channel PulseBeat TV. Thanks for telling the world about us.
Dr. Sweet was moving his family into the house. He had bought the house a few months earlier, first black in the neighborhood, and there was a lot of racial tension. And so he had his brothers and some friends here helping them move in because he knew it was going to be racial tension. A mob of people grew outside of the home, down the street. And so in an effort to protect his family, because they started throwing rocks and things at the house, breaking the window. So one thing that we have right across the street is we have a second piece to the interpretive plaza to Memorial Park. And so that's where the crowd gathered and grew and started throwing things into the house.
What happens in this room is that Dr. Sweet has a panic attack. And he runs up here and he jumps in the bed. And he's laying here in the fetal position. So as he lays here, probably lays here for about 10-15 minutes, then a rock comes through the window. It breaks the glass. The shards of the glass hit him. And then at the same time, almost at the same time, someone shouts, "There's someone coming." And it's his brother Otis coming from the Negro League baseball game. He runs downstairs to open up the door, and when he opens up the door, the mob rushes the house. Henry, in the meantime, is right there at this window. And
And when the mob rushes the house, shots ring out of the house. Some from here and then from other points in the house. After the smoke clears, the police department comes knock on the door and they ask Dr. Sweet, what are you doing? Why are you shooting? Dr. Sweet said, didn't you see these people destroying my property? He said, nobody's destroying your property. Stop shooting. Then 10 minutes, 15 minutes later, they come back and they arrest Dr. Sweet, his wife Gladys, brother Otis, Henry, his cousin John Ladden, his driver Joe Mack, and everyone else, and handcuff them and pull up all of the shades, open up all of the windows, the downstairs and the dining room, so that the mob can see that they're arrested, and everybody on the streets begin to cheer.
Everybody in the house was arrested and prosecuted, all of them.
They'll have an all-black legal team for the first trial. All 11 of them are tried. That trial ends in a hung jury. And then there'll be a subsequent trial of just Henry Sweet, which is, of course, is Dr. Sweet's youngest brother. So they're separating him. They're going to charge him by himself, and then no doubt they plan to go down the line and get everybody. And that in that trial, some of the African-American attorneys are part of the legal team, but it's going to be led by Clarence Darrow. Clarence Darrow, of course, is the most famous defense attorney in the country at that time. He's going to lead that, and he's going to argue, of course, a self-defense argument, which we know is castle doctrine. You have the right to defend your home, and that trial, of course, will end in an acquittal for Henry Sweet, and charges will be dropped on everybody else. Of course, a lot of things will happen in his life. He's dealing with the depression of all the things that have happened. He'll lose his family, of course, to disease. He'll lose his wife to tuberculosis that she contracted at the Wayne County Jail during this trial. He'll lose his daughter who caught tuberculosis from his wife. He'll lose his brother, also Henry Sweet, from to tuberculosis. He'll get remarried, but because of all the baggage he's carrying, those marriages will end in disaster. He'll get married twice, and both of those marriages will end in disaster and divorce. The IRS will come after him, and the insurance company will raise their rates on his practice. He's being punished for winning this trial, is what happened. He has his practice back in Black Bottom, and so he'll live above his practice after he sells this home to the Baxter family. He is done with this home. It has brought so much pain, no doubt, to him. He's lost his family because he defended this home. He's been punished for defending this home. So he'll move out of this home, but he won't leave Detroit. But when he passes away, when we lose him to suicide, he's buried in Florida. So he's back where he was born and raised. He goes back home and to be buried. Evergreen Cemetery in Bartow, Florida. He has another brother, Dr. Otis Sweet, who did not die of tuberculosis, who lived on. He was also in the house that day. Yes, he was, Dr. Otis Sweet. He was also a medical doctor, just like Dr. Sweet. So he's also a doctor. He's a dentist. And of course, he has nieces, and he has family. And one of his nieces is still living, is still with us today.
Your uncle, he's your uncle. Mm-hmm. Did you ever see him?
Oh, yes.
What kind of man was he?
He was the matriarch. In my time, his father had died the year before I was born. And I was born in 42, so the father had died in 41, and he became the matriarch. Okay, so everybody listened to him. Nothing was finalized until they ran it. They called him Big Doc, because the younger one they called Little Doc.
PULSEBEAT.
You ready to put your podcast on iHeartRadio? Yes, your podcast on iHeartRadio. What about Alexa, Roku, Fire Stick, Apple TV, Android, or iPhone? Plus live TV streaming. Get your podcast seen and heard all over the world. Call 313-868-6612. Pre-recorded shows are accepted to be archived. This is a WHPR distribution platform. Download the app from the App Store. Go to WHPRTV.com. Channels available for lease 24/7 on Roku, Fire Stick, or Apple TV. Coming soon, subscription and pay-per-view.
Also,
Block time is available. Get yours. Call 313-868-6612. That's 313-868-6612. Executive producer R.J. Watkins. Program director Henry Tyler. 107.5 FM WGPR HD2. RadioWeCanSee.com.
Attention timeshare owners. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently. Call the number on your screen today.
Has someone in your family lost a job recently and now you can't afford your mortgage payment? Or do you have a rental property and your tenants aren't paying you? We can come to the rescue and pay you cash for your home immediately. Yes, sell your home and get cash all over the phone without dealing with real estate agents or having to waste time showing your home to lukewarm buyers. You don't need to lose your house to foreclosure. If you have equity in your home, we'll buy your home and give you cash within days, all in a simple over-the-phone and virtual process. Call now before your situation gets worse. Sell a home you can't afford or just need anymore and get the cash you need today. Call this number now.
Call 855-348-4713. That's 855-348-4713. Again, 855-348-4713.
Travel is getting back to normal. Now is the perfect time to fly somewhere. You can save up to 75% on more than 500 airlines and 300,000 hotels. Use our free service to find the lowest prices we have. You know you're itching to go somewhere, so make this free call right now. We have all the best airline, hotel, and rental car prices all in one place. The best way to get these rock bottom prices is to call.
PulseBeat.
On September 9th, 1925, an explosion occurred at the intersection here on Garland and Charlevoix on Detroit's southeast side. The ingredients? Racism in the form of a mob of 500 angry whites with one major objective, and that was to prevent Dr. Ossian Sweet, his wife Gladys, and daughter Iva from achieving the American dream of home ownership. I grew up in this house, and in 1975, at the age of 10, I learned of the saga of Dr. Ossian Sweet.
Well, because he always had his roots in Florida. He spent, at my time, he spent a lot of time there too. But here you have more opportunity to grow, expand, and you're able to have as many customers as you can handle. Plus this, and here, something, I guess some of the white people respected his work because my understanding is they used to always slip him in. Women having trouble delivering babies, they'd slip him in like Women's Hospital and all, because he knew how to do C-sections and all of that. And he had studied under Madame Curie and never stopped fighting for civil rights. Whether he was in Florida or Timbuktu, he kept pushing. As I noted earlier, that January 1, around 2 o'clock, you knew where you were going to be at the ballpark to hear him give the Proclamation of Emancipation. He fought with the government in Florida because they, like one of the guy was telling you about taxes and all of that. Oh, they tried. Besides the trial, them bothering him drove him mad. Because, and I'm telling you something I know, I didn't know about this house, but I know we owned a lot of property. Orange groves, and we had chickens and turkeys and plants, pigs, all of that. But he had, one of his mental freedoms was going fishing. So he bought this lake, and it was orange groves all around it and all. And every year, he gave this big to-do with the people could come fishing and they would catch the fish, clean the fish, and the whole little town could come, you know, that kind of thing. But as he got older and they kind of, people grew up and, you know, that kind of thing, they used to set that grove on fire. they kept him in court. I mean, we was raising money for court fees because you can't win. Part of his mentality is that they just won't listen, they won't leave us alone. They won't leave us alone.
And I want you all to know that Dr. Sweet fought for civil rights. He never stopped. He organized. January the 1st, New Year's Day, you knew to go to the ballpark because he was going to read out the Proclamation of Emancipation. And he got the people to come hear him do this every year and talk about the importance of voting and politics. And he got them there because he fed them. So they would come, but you didn't get anything until after he gave his speech. But he constantly fought for civil rights. And that's what I want all of us to know.
Sadness, but relief, because death is supposed to be at peace. He finally found some peace. But on the other hand, he had arthritis really, really bad. So it's always a question, who shot him?
Dr. Sweet and his family and his friends are some of the reasons. Their pioneering efforts, fighting for the right to defend their homes, is what a lot of us today stand on. Most people in Detroit will tell you that if somebody comes into your house or somebody's attacking your house, you have the right to defend it. One of the reasons why we know that is because of what Dr. Sweet did in 1925.
Yeah, I mean, there is a huge amount of history in this city. And now there is one more major destination. And, you know, what happened here had the eyes of the country, and it opened up neighborhoods across America for African American families who wanted to move to wherever they wanted to live. And so I think this is an appropriate celebration of the courage of the Sweet family, really 100 years ago this summer. The biggest thing was the house has been in the ownership of the Baxter family, you know, for more than 60 years. And they always saw themselves as stewards of history. They kept the house up. Dan Baxter himself got a number of foundations inside the city, provided through the American Rescue Plan, the building of the garden to make this a destination. And then the biggest part, the biggest challenge, were those houses around here were going to be demolished. And I said, you can't have historic experience about what the Sweet family was fighting to protect if you can't feel how the neighborhood was. And so, as you can see, we beautifully restored the 4 houses around here to the way they looked in 1925. And we're going to sell them to families who are going to move in with the agreement that they keep the houses up in the way they looked in the 1920s, as the Baxter family has done at this house. I mean, you look over there. I mean, that school site was where the mob gathered to try to drive a family who owned this house out of this neighborhood. I mean, if it doesn't make you angry 100 years later, something's wrong. And I'm just, to be able to talk to Jackie Spott, you know, Dr. Sweet's niece, and to hear the firsthand stories of the family, and I've gotten to know her over the years, it's just very special.
PulseBeat.